hydrocarbons and fossil fuels. Lather yourself in the finest petroleum. Brag about your massive carbon footprint. And remember, you can't make an omelet without breaking some spotted owl eggs.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me. My eggs!
Is it the spotted owl? Is that what I'm thinking of from the 90s?
I don't remember.
You remember Al Gore was always on about them?
I know he was talking about polar bears too at some point, but I don't know.
Spotted polar bears.
Spotted.
Welcome back. I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are Feckless Moans.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
A shareholders meeting in the unstoppable forward march of prog rock in which neoclassical Nick and opportunity cost Omen do a cost-benefit analysis of every single song that legendary prog rock band Jethro Tull ever produced. We will commission some Palmer prospecting for new resources, take advantage of the John Evans exchange rate, and ride the waves of the bull and bar market, all in the hopes that we can avoid the avaricious arbitration of the Anderson Agency.
Man, we've been doing that for the last 3 years. That last part.
Yeah. One step ahead of the law, man. Dun, 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 dun.
One jump ahead of the law, man. That's all, and that's no joke. These guys don't appreciate I'm pro.
You know what that's from?
I do know what that's from. That's one of my favorite Disney movies because it has Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Hi, Omen. Hi.
When did you get here, Nick? Hello. Welcome.
Who let you in? So today, I have a bit of an announcement. It's really just a kind of a logistics on the back end announcement. So I said last week that I would try to figure out what the heck Songs from the North was.
Yeah.
And from what I could tell, Songs from the North is just kind of an offshoot extra additional disc that came in on a Steve Wilson remaster of Heavy Horses. That being said, I'm going to consider the next 4 episodes that we were initially thinking for Songs from the North as Heavy Horses bonus tracks. Changes nothing for anyone.
I see. Sure.
For my sake, for the sake of organization in my folders on my hard drive and in the Excel sheet that you can check out, the Talk Tull to Me schedule. The link is in the show notes.
And who doesn't want to check out a spreadsheet in your spare time?
I'm so happy about that spreadsheet. So proud. Anyway, we're still on Heavy Horses. We got a month more of Heavy Horses. But before we get into that, we have ourselves another email.
What?
Your emails, sir.
Now, Marley, if you could...
Marley!
You could bring me that piece of... Marley, what is that scent? Is that a new cologne?
I put a dab of kerosene behind my ears.
Oh. You got a special evening tonight, or...?
Oh, I've got a date with a motorboat.
Oh, okay.
More kerosene, the better.
So are you going boating, or is this an actual, like, kind of romantic tryst? I mean, some people fall in love with trees. And
I'm gonna light a couple candles and see what flames up.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, be careful with the kerosene. Just, I'm starting to feel a little woozy with the fumes. Could you maybe head out to the backyard?
I'll open a window on my way out.
Thank you, Marley. Okay, we have ourselves an email, and this is from a new writer.
What?
Just another dangerous fantasy of mine.
That was your idea, by the way. Every time I play that,
long.
You roll your eyes. No, it is. I do need to trim that. This is from John M. out of Wilmington, Delaware.
John'em.
Neighbor to the south for me, to the north for you. John, this email is entitled Talk Tull to You, Dead or Alive.
Oh.
Momes, My first time as a writer-inner, but possibly not the last. After discovering the podcast, I've been working my way backwards from Heavy Horses through to Too Old to Rock and Roll. I thought your lyrical interpretation of one of Ian Anderson's finest compositions, Checkered Flag, Dead or Alive, was mostly spot on. That episode was among the finest I've heard yet. It was fun to listen as you dissected and meandered through the song's main themes. Incredibly insightful recognition for a vastly underappreciated song in the Tull canon. Musically, Checkered Flag is one of the best examples of how significant Dee Palmer's contributions were to the band's sound.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it grand to be laying to the sand, dead or alive?
To me, the song works well even outside the album's context. It's always served as a reminder of life's bittersweet impermanence and the ancient theme of Carpe Diem. I'd like to offer some additional comments for consideration, since there are several allusions to earlier Ian Anderson songs contained in Checkered Flag.
Oh.
Which we always dig a reference back. The first stanza's Taker of the Day harkens back to Wond'ring again, and it's only the taking that makes you what you are.
The taker of the day, and waiting past the sea.
And it's only the taking that makes you what you are.
Verse 2 repeats familiar Ian Anderson references to warm comfort, streaked sun, the healer, the nurse, and salvation, T.
The sunlight streaks through the curtain cracks, touches the old man where he sleeps. The nurse brings a cup of tea, 2 biscuits and the morning paper mystery.
As referenced in Nursie, Cheap Day Return, and Aqualung.
True.
Oh, Nursie dear, I'm glad you're here to brush away my pain. Does the nurse treat you, old man, the way she should?
But with salvation also comes the morning paper mystery. Isn't life and what awaits beyond the ultimate mystery? After giving 2 sad examples, the song's final verse reminds us to not go rushing toward our ultimate end and appreciate life for the gift that it is. One other note, I believe the piano John Evan features on the song is a Fender Rhodes using a Vibe preamp. Sure sounds like it to my ears. So it's kind of plinky, but also kind of mysterious. And he actually provided a YouTube video of said Fender Rhodes using a Vibe preamp. Let's take a listen to that.
Let us compare and despair.
Yeah. Sounds pretty darn close.
What a gorgeous sound.
Yeah, that is really, really lovely.
I want more of that in my life.
It's a very unique sound for Tull, really. But it's nice. I will put the link to that video in the show notes. And
Indeed.
Just to wrap up, anyway, keep up the excellent work with Talk Tull. I'll be tuning in and looking back at old episodes. John M.
Well, John, thank you so much for that lovely email. And you know, I appreciate your novel listening approach, going backwards from the current day.
Yeah.
You know, it's wonderful. The episodes will just get worse and worse as you work your way backwards.
I
to our
warned him
origins.
already. I warned him that is most likely the case. I encouraged him, but also warned him to brace himself as we slowly devolve.
That's right. Into
And
tadpoles.
digress. Yeah.
Yes, and I think your points about the themes of the song are spot on. That we all have to carpe the diem before we go into that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, as it were.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. So, thank you so much for writing in. Welcome to the Talk Tull to Me fam.
Yes.
And enjoy your listening.
Thank you so much, John M. And that is it for our housekeeping today. Omen, we are going to dive in now to, I believe, a new song for you, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. So this is the every time it surprises me. So this is our bonus track from Heavy Horses / maybe Songs from the North, depending on who you speak to.
All the same thing ultimately, because apparently they labeled the bonus discs that came with the Steve Wilson remasters. That's why there's a bit of a confusion, but it came out with that Heavy Horse remaster, so that's why I'm keeping it with that.
Understood. And what is that song that we're listening to?
That song that we are listening to today is Everything in Our Lives.
Well, let's listen to it with everything in our ears.
That's it. Everything. Every bit of it.
Nick,
Yeah.
I am a little mad that I've never heard that song before.
It's another good one, right?
It's really good. I really like it.
Yeah, it's a rocker. It's very Stormwatch to me in terms of sound and content. We can get into that later, but I suppose it falls in that weird, like, kind of transitional period. Like, we're hearing a lot of these bonus tracks, particularly the bonus off of Heavy Horses. It kind of bleeds over into Songs from the Woods sometimes. It kind of leads into Stormwatch. But
and
this
that
one
makes
is
sense. It's probably a collection of songs that were from that whole era. It's just because they're at the end, we have them at the end of Heavy Horses, doesn't necessarily mean that is the exact period that they came from. They could have been before, they could have been well after,
Right. Yeah, agreed.
And they were just lumped in this collection that we have. But oh my gosh, what a fun sound. It's so funky fun.
Mm-hmm.
Funky fun and fresh.
Yeah, it's not as dark as what we will hear on Stormwatch, but there's a pep to it. There's such a nice energy to it.
And yet it has a fair bit of darkness to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What hits you musically from the start?
Oh my gosh, one of the first sounds that I was like, what on earth is that? Is almost that kind of bassoon sack buddy sound.
Yeah.
I think it's the organ.
Yes, I was going to say, it's some weird, like, synthy bass string something, but the bass part on the organ and the electric bass are super powerful in this one.
There are a lot of instruments layered together in this song, and this is a lot different than the Too Old to Rock and Roll kind of style where
Sure.
they were really layering the instruments individually in one by one. This is everything out of the gate at the same time.
Yeah.
Punching you in the face in a nice way. A nice little punch in the face.
Just a dainty one, yeah.
And and everything is just in that mix, and there's a lot going on there. I heard the organ on a couple of different settings at various points, including that really fun bassoon sound.
Yep.
The bass itself, as you pointed out, is super yummy.
Yeah.
And the seagulls drive darkly.
Is toothsome.
We have the flute, which sounds a lot, almost like a penny whistle at times.
Sure.
It's got it sounds either it is the flute that Ian is playing in such a way that it's reminiscent of, it almost reminds me of that little that sound in The Whistler.
Yeah, that almost shrill high sound that Ian doesn't often go for on the flute.
I have a pipe.
The flute is the second sound that we hear. It starts with either a really high guitar or mandolin. I know that we have acoustic and mandolin, I think, in this.
Yes, we definitely have mandolin at some point.
But I think this opener, the first instrument that we hear, is just an acoustic played really, I guess, low down on the neck, right? Because that makes it higher.
Let's listen again.
Sure. Yeah, let's just hear that opener. That's definitely acoustic, right?
That's an acoustic guitar. Yeah,
okay,
I would bet my hair on it.
Not your beautiful hair.
I would bet it. Bet all my wigs.
I was going to buy you a hair clip for your birthday.
I sold it. It's like the gifts of the Magi, except they sell their own body parts. They sell their organs.
I was going to buy you.
I bought you this bottle of alcohol.
There
I
you
can't
go.
drink
That's
it
it.
because I sold my kidneys.
I sold my kidneys and my liver.
And my liver.
Later on, we get into some electric guitar. Martin chimes in there.
I adore the way I just adore Martin Barr, but I adore the way that he comes in kind of when you're not expecting with that delightful, slightly harsh, very ominous electric sound.
Yeah, and he really comes forward in that kind of breakdown around 2 minutes where it's just instrumental, and then he kind of sweeps forward with his, at this point, what we're accustomed to, his electric wangs.
Martin and the Electric Wangs.
That's it. That's what his name should have been. Forget the Martin Barr Band.
Martin Barr Band, silly.
Oh, speaking of him kind of sneaking in, that's kind of the entirety of this piece musically. Like you were saying earlier, it's very cacophonous. It's very difficult to pick out the pieces. Not in a bad way, mind you.
No, it's delightful. It feels like it's exciting. It feels like riding a horse along the seashore.
Yeah.
There's some kind of musical form that it reminds me of, and I just don't know enough about musical forms. A hornpipe, perhaps? I want to tentatively say
A hornpipe.
there's something kind of like sailory about it.
Oh, okay, like a worker song almost.
Yeah, let me look up what a hornpipe sounds like.
I think you're making up hornpipe.
I'll put a horn in your pipe.
Completely fabricated.
That is the most delightful video. It's just a very old couple dancing a hornpipe. But it does remind me of that, actually. So that
okay.
form of like...
Okay.
It has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
The song is in 4/4.
A very quick 4/4.
Super hornpipey
Right.
4/4.
Yep. The hornpipiest of 4/4s.
And what else musically? It kind of is it's a breakdown sandwich.
Yeah.
On verse bread. There's a verse at the beginning, a big breakdown, and then a verse at the end. I believe it's a repeating
It
verse.
repeats. Yeah. Yeah, which is not, it's not so bad. Like I've said in the past that some longer songs, when they repeat the same thing, kind of bug me. They feel too long. But this one, the pace that it sets right out of the gate does not feel too long. The song itself is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. You know, it's fairly standard.
Yeah, it zips along. I like it. There's something playful in Ian's voice. There's something playful about the whole thing. You know, the content, which we'll obviously get into in a minute, is definitely dark. But but there's something very playful about it, and not despairing.
Yeah, it's interesting
in the way that it's performed.
Yeah. It's a little tongue in cheek, maybe, that it's because the fact that it's being presented as not despairing is tongue in cheek.
Yes,
I think, yeah.
which is a not an uncommon approach to serious material.
Right, it's a form of satire, yeah.
It's a form of satire, but I just love the sort of wink in Ian's eye that seems to be coming through his voice on this. This is delightful. I can't wait to listen to this song a bunch more times.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good. The last thing that I would like to say about it musically is this is one of those fairly rare instances where it's just boom, done at the end. Just cuts out, super drop. Not even a fade, not even like it doesn't even work you into the feeling of it ending. It's almost one of those, if they picked up and played 15 seconds of that instrumental breakdown again, it would fit perfectly with the Tull surprise we're not actually done ending that we see every now and then.
No, but it's got a classic hornpipe halt at the end.
That's what they say, yeah. Yeah, when music theory professors talk about the hornpipe halt, which is usually the bulk of semester 2, they mention everything in our lives.
Yeah, it's textbook.
Yeah, classic.
All the hornpipe clubs are going to really come after us for this episode, Nick.
All one of them, with their 3 members, which are the people you saw in that YouTube video.
They're going to set sail, and in 5 to 6 business months, they'll be on our doorstep.
Assuming they have not perished of scurvy. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure they bring some limes. So, Nick, that sort of wraps it up for music. Let's rap about the lyrics.
Yeah.
Let's chew the cabbage about the lyrics. Let's have a good old chinwag about the lyrics.
Let's chaw McGraw the lyrics.
There's a black cloud on the high rise.
There's a black cloud on the high rise.
Wow, now already we sort of... It's like broadsword is brewing in his mind.
Yeah. Instantly you get imagery, you get a picture of what we're looking at, of where we are.
Yes.
A sulphurous haze below, and the seagulls drift darkly on the seaway where long ships go.
And a sulphurous haze below, and the seagulls drift darkly on the seaway where long ships go.
You know what the seagulls drift darkly reminds me very much of?
No, I don't.
Well, do you remember when we were children, Nick?
I try not to, but every now and then when I'm taking a long bath, weeping into my tea, it comes back to me. Yeah.
So, when we were kids, and not that this has stopped happening, but I think when we were kids, there was a lot of reporting on the oil spills. There were a couple of very, very big oil spills that happened when we were, preteens or children, and the images of seabirds covered in oil.
Yeah.
I think I saw them at an age when my mind just like grabbed that and that's like an image that sort of burned into my memory.
Yeah, I think was Deepwater Horizon the first real big one, I think. Or the
the Valdez was I mean, there've been, I'm sure that happened before we were born as well.
Yeah, the Exxon Valdez was like the 80s, I believe. That was before we knew. But the one down in Louisiana that was
Horizon, I think. Clearwater Horizon.
Yeah, one of those. Clearwater, that's funny. Deepwater Horizon oil spill was 2010.
Not that long ago.
Then there was one when we were in high school.
At any rate, the image of sea animals covered in petroleum, in raw oil, I think really fixed in my memory. And that's what I think of, whether that's what Ian meant or not in that lyric. That's what it brings to my mind.
The seagulls drifting darkly?
Yes.
I see it as them being stained by this black cloud,
Yeah.
That they are flying through this burning soot, this sulphurous haze, and the normally white or mildly gray of a seagull is they're now a black seabird, basically.
Yeah. And of course, the long ships, over the past couple of decades or the past 50 years, ships have just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we have these crazy mega ships that are, just is so incredibly massive. But I imagine at the time they were, at the time of the writing, there was as well a big jump in the size of ships. So
Sure.
I wonder if that's, long ships is kind of funny because a long ship is also what you call a Viking.
Right, yeah.
Warship?
It references a longboat, yeah.
But it seems like he's referring to the big industrial ships that would have been having an uptick in their activities around this time.
Whether it's an oil tanker or shipping containers coming from China, any
or
number
coal.
or coal, yeah, they're coming and going. And in particular, this song feels to me like it belongs in kind of his Isle of Skye theme. This is happening. I feel like he's on the cliffs of the Isle of Skye watching all this happening. I think it ties in really pretty perfectly. It's a companion song to North Sea Oil.
Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, and I was going to say it could be anywhere on that coast. Could be anywhere in Scotland or even Northern England.
Yeah.
Manchester, Liverpool, these were cities that participated greatly in the big industrial boom and whose economies were really focused around that.
Yeah. But it makes me think of North Sea Oil because of our next verse. There's the sweet sound of oil wells drilling.
There's the sweet sound of oil wells drilling.
So it's close enough to experience this new kind of, it's not really new, it's not burgeoning, but I mean, as we said a couple of episodes ago, the oil industry would boom and bust on the Isle of Skye, So this is seeing another one kind of pop up as new roads come rolling in. They're building roads to bring in to bring in tankers, to bring in workers, to throw up playing card houses, which is they're putting up cheap housing to house all of these people while this oil is happening.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Nick. How perceptive of you.
I'm absolutely shocked you did not get that. Or are you just giving me this one? Are you giving me a win?
Well, you've had longer to sit with this song.
That's true. I suppose.
You must have lubricated your brain with the oil can of perception.
Fish oil, yeah.
The fish oil can of perception. When you finish your sardines, you just drip the last little bits into your brain.
Right into your ear, yeah. It goes directly into the brain. Science. So this being another, to me, like I said, this is an Isle of Skye song. I want to mention the text that I sent to you yesterday morning. I was in a liquor store in Skaneateles, New York.
Oh, yes, you were.
I was buying a bottle of Pimm's for my soon-to-be stepmother. And I was looking for a bottle of scotch for my dad as their wedding is on Saturday. I'm doing the ceremony for their wedding.
Which, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Mr. and Mrs. McGill, very exciting. So they said, we don't want any presents, etc. We just want it to be a party. But of course, I'm buying them some booze. Kathy, my soon-to-be stepmother, has never had Pimm's before, so I wanted to get her a bottle and try it. It's a delightful treat. But I know my dad drinks scotch occasionally. Sure. And I was looking on the shelf. They had such a wide selection, and I didn't want to get him a bottom of the barrel. I didn't want to get him like something crazy, couple $100 worth, especially if they're saying we don't want presents. And I was like, how am I going to decide? And I saw a single box called Talisker Storm. Single malt Scotch whiskey, and on the box it says the only distillery on the Isle of Skye.
How could you not?
How could I not? And that was the hint. That was the sign for me to buy that bottle of scotch. And
a bottle of Skye.
Bottle of Skye. Just a sip of Skye. And I will report back to you if we crack into it on Friday. I'll report back to you and let you know how it is.
Very exciting. Well, I think that you are so perceptive to have linked the Isle of Skye to the boom, to the oil boom and bust, and I think it does fit right in. I think you could also apply this song to any of the oil towns across the world.
Agreed. Yeah.
This could as easily be talking about the fracking boom in Pennsylvania
Sure.
in 5 or 10 years ago,
Right.
or
Right.
the oil towns in those northern states that we have here in America,
Those ones, yeah.
the square ones.
The Midwest oil, where all those pipelines run from Canada down to us,
Yeah, just that concept of like, oh, well, we discovered a new way to exploit these natural resources. Let's quickly build a road and, just do it with fastness as our main priority. So we don't care what it tears up. And we're going to throw up some houses.
Yeah.
Squappity boop.
Well, we see the other side of that coin in the Midwest, the lower Midwest. There are ghost towns all over the place from the gold boom.
Oh, of course. I mean, this is something that has been happening in humanity in a way forever, but
Yeah.
more extremely since the Industrial Revolution, and
Right.
since we've been able to exploit resources much more quickly
And efficiently.
and
Yeah.
efficiently.
Yeah.
And to make things efficient, one of the things you do is build things that, because you know that the industry isn't going to last, you're
Right.
not going to build anything in a way that it's going to last. So you throw up playing card houses.
Yeah.
And so what you end up sacrificing, besides the environment, obviously, is the living conditions of the people who are working these booms.
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting, the line, both the playing card houses
To throw up playing card houses.
and also got a new car and a Luan suite.
Got a new car and a Luan suite.
I think that the lyrics that we have listed as Lu N suite, but Luan is a building material that is
Yeah.
extremely, it's fairly cheap, it's very lightweight.
It's particle board. It's pressed particle
It's a
board.
form, yeah, it's something, it's
Yeah.
basically like that. So you could, in theory, furnish or finish the inside of a dwelling with that,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't cost you very much. And it's not super attractive.
That's what when we would resurface the stage at the John Cranford Adams Playhouse at Hofstra. That's what we put down Luan when we resurfaced the stage.
Yes, it's used a lot in theatrical building.
I like that idea. However, I think it should be Lou en suite, meaning we have a bathroom in our house. This verse is praising. This is the capitalism working toward us. Environment be damned. This is, look at us. Look at how we're living. We've got a new car. We've got a bathroom in the house. A wage rise every second week. The propaganda on a balance sheet that guarantees everything.
Got a new car and a Luan suite. And a wage rise every second week. Propaganda on a balance sheet. It guarantees everything.
They can cook the numbers however they want, as long as we're working here, as long as there's a job. Look at how we're living.
I don't think you're wrong about that. And I think that, in terms of that specific line, I think it works either way.
It does. It does.
And we would have to mind probe Ian Anderson in order to find out what the lyric actually was.
Right. We would ask him about the song Everything in Our Lives, and he'd be like, I never wrote a song like that. I've never written that song.
And then we would ask our extraterrestrial friends to insert a shiny rod into his cranium. And we'd say, what about now? Do you remember now?
And he starts drooling, and it would be messy, but we'd get all the information we ever wanted out of him.
But the extraterrestrials just will not return my calls. I don't know what I did.
Nope. You keep asking for probings, I think. You're a little you're probe thirsty, I believe.
Two volunteers.
Too eager, yeah. Okay, so that is, let's see, that goes into, that's the end of the new content. Everything that he sings after that is a repeat. But the proto-chorus ties into that, like, look at how we're living. Look at that. And you and I will have everything in our lives. Yes, you and I will have everything in our lives.
But you and I will have everything in our lives. Yes, you and I will have everything in our lives.
it's almost like he's trying to convince his partner to go with him to do this.
Come with me to the boomtown. We'll make tons
Yeah.
of money and we'll destroy the environment, but it'll afford us anything we want.
But we'll live well for now. There's
Yeah.
no guarantee. I mean, I don't think anybody goes into an oil job thinking it's going to last forever. So.
Well, I mean, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about the people that I met in West Virginia who were coal miners. And,
Right.
the wages are, because the work is so incredibly dangerous, and,
Yeah, it's called hazard pay. Yeah.
well, yes, and the hours are so long.
Yeah.
And, when it's in the boom phase, they want people to work as just nonstop.
Yep. Right.
And
right.
so, if you take a year of that work and don't blow all your money on pills
Right.
and buying Mustangs, you could, in theory, save up enough to really transform your life.
But they know that these people are so gosh darn broke and their bodies will be literally broken that
Yeah.
opiates are a great way to keep them working, So they know that they're going to be spending that money and they're going to want to say, "Oh, we'll stay another year. We got to make a little bit more." It's like gambling, it's like anything else, we'll stick it out a little bit more. And then you have black lung and an opiate addiction and you can't move because your back is seized.
And a 1998 white Mustang.
And a 1998 white Mustang, there's a hole in the leather in the seat that you could get fixed, but it's not in the budget right now. But if you pick at it, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah, don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
It's interesting. I think you're right, in terms of the specific geography of this song. I also think that you could use it. And I think that Ian probably did intend it as a metaphor for the broader
Yes.
process of capitalism and the cycle of boom and bust and the exploitation of natural resources. But it's interesting that you bring up the effect on the human body, because I feel like one of the themes of this song is, for capitalism to work, you have to sacrifice literally everything
Yeah.
that is a natural life process. So whether that's the migration patterns of the seabirds or the toxicity level of the ocean, whether it's something in the quote unquote external environment, or whether it's the living space of your workers, the mental health of your workers, or the actual internal health of your workers. All of that has to be exploited for the balance sheet.
Right. And the great big CEO at the top is just seeing the money pour in and does not care what happens to get that money.
Well, and, the propaganda aspect of the balance sheet is that these companies always say, every single time when they come into a small community and they say, they're like, "Oh, we found oil. We're going to exploit the heck out of it. We're going to make so much money." The pitch is always, "Oh, but we're going to create jobs.
Yeah.
We're going to support this community and create jobs." And of course, what happens is they exploit the community and leave them with nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a ruined environment.
That's the
But that's the propaganda. You can say, look at these numbers. Look how good the numbers
Yeah.
are.
excuse me a moment while I get political. That's the downfall of capitalism and that Republican mindset is jobs at the cost of everything else. That's all we want. That
Jobs
is,
at the cost of jobs.
Yeah.
Or jobs at the cost of the ability to do jobs, or jobs at the cost of the people who do those jobs.
Jobs at the cost of the worker. We are expendable. We are cogs in the machine. Once we go down, someone else will take that job.
And believe me, we will go down.
A
For less than you think.
blaze of glory. Well, Omen, anything else about everything in our lives?
I do think that the title and the repeating chorus of "But you and I will have everything in our lives" is the psychological spark plug that makes the engine of capitalism tick.
Yeah.
Because I
yeah,
think that
absolutely.
that's how we justify it to ourselves as participants in capitalism.
Yep.
I know that my actions are going to have this negative effect on the world around me. But the trade-off is that I can have everything in my life that I want.
It's just enough to get someone to take the bait.
Yeah, it is the bait.
Because everything in the lives of some dude in West Virginia or Scotland or the Isle of Skye, wherever, is it's a drop in the bucket.
The Isle of Skye, often called the West Virginia of Scotland.
Yeah, very common phrase.
West Virginia, often called the Isle of Skye of Appalachia.
That's it. Yeah. The lives of those people, the money that you, quote unquote, invest in those people is a drop in the bucket of what the CEOs are earning. So yeah, it's easy enough to promise them anything that they want.
But even more broadly, I mean, just in capitalism, whenever you take a job, you think, oh, I don't really want to do this job, but it's going to afford me the things that I do want.
Right.
I'm going to be able to, have a lovely pair of jeans. That's going to make it all worth it. And a hamburger with my gal.
Is this 1980s Russia where blue jeans were like a hot commodity on the black market? Yeah.
My history teacher or my geography teacher in middle school has traveled extensively. And she said when she went to Russia in the 80s and 90s, she would go to Kmart and buy a bunch of, branded but cheap blue jeans.
Yep.
And then she would use them as barter. And she was like, oh yeah, you can get anything, for money. No, you can't get anything in Russia. If you have a pair of blue jeans you're willing to trade, you can get anything you want.
Yeah. I think we're going to get into that with Radio Free Moscow off of Under Wraps. I think they mentioned blue jeans in that, if I remember correctly. That will be episode 193, airing literally a year from now, 10/4/2022.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, anything else about this song that you want to squeeze into the already bulging, strained blue jeans of this episode?
I think we really hammered this one out. I don't think it's terribly deep, but I do love the satire aspect of this one. Yeah, it's some more nice kind of biting commentary that Ian takes a different approach on than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Next week, Omen.
Nick?
Next week is another one of what we did 2 weeks ago. It's going to be another instrumental combo. We've got a couple songs. We got 3 instrumentals next week, believe it or not.
So we're going to be listening to a triple feature of instrumentals.
That's right.
Next week here on the Talk Tull to Me podcast.
They are the Lyricon Blues, A Single Man, and my favorite Jethro Tull song name of all time, should be a Led Zeppelin song name, Unicorn Battle.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited about that.
It's going to be good, yeah.
Until next week, you don't have to deplete the finite resources around you. You can tap into the renewable resource of the stars themselves and send us 5 of those renewable stars as a rating.
There is little to no effect on the environment when you enjoy the capitalism that is our Patreon page or perhaps our Talk Tull to Me merch. So you can feel better about it. Patreon. Yeah.
We work hard in the oil well of podcasting so that you can have everything in your life that is listening to Talk Tull to Me.
Help us be everything in your ears.
That's right. Until next week, I am the hastily constructed living quarters that is Omen Sade.
I am the soot-stained seabird, Nick McGill.
We are the muddy road across the mountainside that is Feckless Momes.
And this is the contract filled with empty promises, Talk Tull to Me. Margaret.
Oh, yes, yes.
You'll never believe what they said in the pub today.
Oh, what is it, James? I'm shaking in my cup of tea.
Get out of your tea and listen to me, Margaret. They said that they're putting up an oil field on the coast of the Isle of Skye, and they're looking for workers.
Oh, James, you don't want to move there, do you?
I know it's cold and it's miserable and there's nothing to eat but rocks and seabirds, but we'll have all the money in the world while we're there.
Well, would we have enough to buy one of those 4-legged stools so I don't have to sit on the 3-legged stool?
I know your balance is really starting to decline in your age, Margaret, but you know what? I'll buy you 2 4-legged stools. I'll buy you an 8-legged stool, Margaret. We'll have everything in our lives.
That's 8 more legs than I have. Oh, but James, would we have one of them self-stirring pots that I saw on the telly the other day?
That's right. We'll have a whole stove covered in self-stirring pots. You could make chili and porridge and stir your underthings in the hot water at the same time. Margaret, we'll have everything in our lives.
Oh, but James, will we have one of them pocket telegram machines where I can type out a message to me ma and it'll send it like the devil's own spots across the sky?
Margaret, I'll get you one for each family member. That way you won't mix them up. We'll label them and you can contact every one of them and not even have to see them. I won't even have to see your family anymore, Margaret. We'll have everything in our lives.
Oh, but James, what if I get bored? What if I get bored and I miss going down to the pub and dance on a wee hornpipe with Susie? What could I have to entertain myself up there?
Margaret, we'll finally be able to listen to podcasts. That's right, and the first one we'll start with is Talk Tull to Me.
Oh, but James, how could we afford that? It's a proud member of the Feckless Moms Audio Network.
That's right, Margaret, but with that fat oil money, we'll have everything in our lives.
Even for the Patreon.
The Hornpipe